As heartbreaking as it gets, honestly. I mean, we can second guess for the next 5 months, and I think we will here tonight. Obviously, there's a lot of good in this season, but perspective takes time, and I don't think it's really time for perspective when it's as raw as losing the way you lost here today. And it's just troubling what happened over the last couple of days. Obviously, everyone's going to circle Hader, Harper. Hader never gets into a game, Jim, in Philadelphia, and the Padres lose this series 4-1.
Yeah, we'll definitely reflect on this season later. But like you said, it's hard to reflect on a season when it just ended and how it ended with the opportunity that was in front of you and how the opportunity kind of felt like it was you just fumbled over it. I'm not saying that the Phillies didn't deserve to win because, dude, look, what Bryce Harper did today, tip your
Yeah, it's
fucking
hard to
cap.
do. Yeah.
You like that is a legendary moment for not only his career, but the Phillies franchise. That what he did today and what he's really done all postseason. He's arguably the best player in the game right now. And he's the reigning MVP, and he showed it in this series. He came up in the biggest moments. Padres could not get him out, and you lost to the best player. With that all being said, you didn't have your best player facing their best player in the biggest moment of your season. I'm not discrediting Robert Suarez at all. I'm not blaming him at all for giving up that home run. He competed, he battled. Without Robert Suarez, they don't even make the NLCS. What he did in the Dodgers series in game 2 and game 4 was fucking brilliant. And what he did earlier in today's game was amazing as well, getting out of another jam that, we'll talk about it, kind of saving Bob Melvin again. So I am not blaming Robert Suarez at all for that home run. He competed. He lost to the best. End of story. But I will say is the managing of the last 2 games, I'm not saying it cost the Padres because I don't think it cost the Padres this series, but it didn't give the Padres the best chance at winning the series. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I see this, Jared. I see he commented with his super, so I'm going to start with that. I'd go, it's hard. I mean, I think it's fair to say Bob Melvin was thoroughly outmanaged in the series by Rob Thompson.
Oh, for sure.
Now,
No
again, is it
that.
the difference between winning and losing the series? I mean, I kind of agree with what they had said, John Smoltz on FS1 and some of even the TV crew. Like, I thought this was a very closely played series.
Yep.
And yes, there's no question the Phillies had some big moments in this series. But I go back to yesterday at the 6-4 lead, and I'll never understand what they elected to do with Sean Manaea. And today, like you said, Robert Suarez has been unbelievable. Bryce Harper's red hot. He might take Hader deep. I have no clue. But to have Hader, I mean, you traded for Hader for this moment.
Yeah.
We've said this 100 times this year. Sometimes the save comes in the 8th inning, not the 9th inning. Now, you would have been potentially in a spot where you need to cover some outs in the 9th inning if Hader couldn't get you 6 outs. I get it. He's not a 6-out guy. He just isn't. It's been years since he's had to do that. But, like, you've got Josh Hader, who Bob Melvin says postgame wasn't ready, and that's on you. I mean, that's on no one else. It's not on Josh Hader. It's not on Robert Suarez. I mean, it's just flat out on you. And it's just really flat out disappointing to be in the biggest moment your franchise has had in 25 years, and you were caught flat-footed. And Rob Thompson was asked about a postgame. He said he's not going to second guess, nor should he. I mean, he said the right things, but he said, we were surprised they didn't go to Hader. You know that was a lift for Harper getting into the batter's box knowing he didn't have the lefty and Hader coming in there. You just know it. And it's just something they're going to have to live with for a long, long time. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, if you heard Manny Machado postgame and he said they asked him, hey, are you going to get back to baseball activities right away? He's like, no, I'm not. I need time. And anyone that played on this team, I mean, it's hard enough being a fan. Imagine being in these games and having them decided, on a moment where the manager didn't make the right decision late. And again, is it the difference in winning and losing the series? We'll never know. We will never, ever, ever know. But, man, there's a lot to be desired based on the way this series was managed by Bob Melvin. That's all I'll say.
Look, the Phillies flat out won this series. They were the better team. They were the hotter team at the right moment. Take nothing away from them. I mean, they're literally unbeatable. It feels like right now at home. Like it just feels that way. They outpitched the Padres. They came up in more clutch moments than the Padres. Their star came up in the biggest moments when they needed him the most. And it is what it is there. But like I 100% agree with you. We'll never know how this series could have played out if Bob Melvin had urgency with the series like you should have in the postseason. I'm sorry. There were too many times this postseason, John, where we text each other and we talked about the fact that Bob Melvin leaves his guys in because just because he trusts them or like, no, I'm sorry. You should not be in the business of leaving guys in because you are like a player's manager. You fucking got to make the right moves regardless of feelings. And to leave, we'll go back to Darvish. Leaving Darvish in the 7th inning when he did, I know you're facing the bottom of the order. I don't give a shit. You have a rested bullpen. You know Darvish has not looked great all day. He battled through 6 great innings, gave up 2 runs. John Smoltz was talking about it the entire broadcast. Darvish did not have any feel on his fastball all day long, and you keep him in there. That's
like 7 consecutive breaking pitches to Bryson Stein. He kept saying, like, you got to throw this guy a fastball. Like he struggles with fastballs.
Right. And you keep Darvish in there for 1 batter too long. Suarez saved his ass in the 7th. You're in the 8th inning. Okay. You walk Schwarber. You should have had Hader up ready to go.
It wasn't a walk to Schwarber. It was a 0-2 single the other way by Real Muto.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Which is just as costly, by the way, in the grand scheme as the home run, because you could live with the home run if it was a solo home run.
And the fact that you didn't even have Hader ready to go for 4, 5, 6 of the Phillies lineup and ready for Harper, it's fucking mind-boggling to me that you're that late on shit all the time. And Bob Melvin, he's a really good manager. He did a fantastic job this year in the regular season when he told off the team in Arizona to wake them up. That was a wake-up call for this team that they needed. But look, no one's above reproach here as far as being criticized. Just because you had a good season and just because you got your team to the NLCS, the fact that you still made and didn't make decisions in the NLCS that may have ultimately cost you a chance at a World Series, we're going to talk about it. And Bob Melvin in the series, he fucked up. It's not the reason why they lost the series.
Well,
but it's not the full reason why they lost.
I kind of hate that, to be honest with you. I mean,
it's not the full reason why they lost, but it's a big part of it.
It's a part of it. I mean, I thought it was a very evenly played series. Game 1,
the way that
Rob home runs, they had the winning run at the plate in Game 1, the 9th inning, they lost. They won Game 2. Game 3, they had Joe Musgrove on the mound, and they just didn't come through in any real moment. Offensively, they had chances.
That night. Yeah.
Game 4, they've got a 6-4 lead in the 5th inning. They don't go to their bullpen for whatever reason. They turn to Sean Manaea, and it costs them, not surprisingly. And then Game 5, they've got a 1-run lead in the 8th inning. Bryce Harper due up. You have your closer ready and available. He's pitched 1 inning in the series. You literally traded for him for this moment, and he never appears in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
that's a really tough way to go into an offseason. And I think as good as the Phillies were in moments in this series, as bad as the Padres were in reacting to the moments where they needed to be better. This is chess. Baseball is chess.
Yep.
It's what it is, okay?
Yep.
You can out-chess your way to wins in baseball. That's why you have these pieces available to you. And for whatever reason, they just didn't use them. I mean, they didn't use Robert Suarez yesterday. Okay, use them today. And then they didn't use Josh Hader yesterday. Okay, use him today, and they didn't.
No, it was it was a extremely poor job by Bob Melvin in this series. Did not put his players and the right players in positions that needed to be put in. If you pitch Josh, like the whole notion that Josh Hader, they're saving him for a 4-out save, bro. You didn't even make it to the bottom of the 9th inning. What the fuck are you saving him for?
Well, what is even a 4-out? I mean, what does that even mean? You know what I mean?
No, it's so stupid. It's
right.
Dumbest
it doesn't
shit ever.
mean anything.
Because
look, like you said, you're facing 4, 5, and 6. I mean, wouldn't you be more primed to use them in that spot than 7, 8, 9?
And guess what? You still have Luis Garcia ready to go. You've done pretty well this season. You have Tim Hill, who has been really good in the postseason as well.
You have Pierce Johnson.
Like, you can get 3 outs in the 9th with 7, 8, 9 there. But the fact that you did not put in your closer, who has had an amazing postseason and really has been unhittable for you, okay, in the biggest moment of the game in the 8th inning with a run lead, yeah, that's on Bob Melvin. That's 100% on Bob Melvin.
I mean, I will say this too. Listen, I love Suarez. I think he had an amazing year. I would have obviously gone to Hader in that spot because I'm trying to eliminate the second guessing. He didn't allow a home run to a left-handed batter until that moment. I mean, that's how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think he threw. I didn't think that the sequence was bad. I mean, you think about the changeup he threw that Harper laid off. The pitch that Harper hit the other way was 99 miles per hour, hit the other way out of the ballpark. There's very few hitters in baseball that are capable of doing that, but Bryce Harper's one of them. And that's why that's why Hader's got to be in that spot, because you need your absolute best. You need the platoon advantage. You need the left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
And you take your chances.
Yeah. I just don't understand it. Even the pitch that Harper laid off, the changeup, like even Austin Nola talked about it. That's no one lays off that pitch. The second he lays off that pitch, I'm not giving him anything else to hit. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
Right. It's tough because it's just, you're in such a situation that you're so damned. There's a runner on and nobody out. So obviously you're not trying to walk him in that spot. With the benefit of hindsight, you'd rather walk him than allow the home run.
Frank Thomas even said post game, like everybody was saying that know more baseball than anybody else here. Okay. Why the fuck are you pitching to Bryce Harper? One. And if you're going to pitch to Bryce Harper, listen. Just listen to me.
No.
Listen,
I disagree with him.
One,
yeah,
I'm not finished yet, dude.
I heard it. He's wrong.
Why are you pitching to Bryce Harper? But if you're going to pitch to Bryce Harper, why not have Josh Hader?
What do you mean? Why are you pitching to Bryce Harper? There's no other option than to pitch to Bryce Harper. I heard Frank Thomas say that. That's utter stupidity. The reason you're pitching to him is,
if you're going to pitch to Bryce Harper, that needs to be Josh Hader.
Yeah, that's fair, but Frank Thomas doesn't know more about this than we do. Okay, we've watched this a lot more than he has play out, and you have to pitch to Bryce Harper in that spot. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Suarez, but you have to pitch to Bryce Harper in that spot.
Fucking Hader. I don't understand that. Bob Melvin fucked up. He fucked up last night playing for game 6 and 7 instead of them in the moment. Rob Thompson thoroughly outmanaged him this series. Wasn't the reason why they lost, but it was a big part of it, because in game 3, Rob Thompson managed that game like it was a game 7 and pitched his fucking guys no matter what.
It actually may have been the reason why they actually lost this series. Jared, thank you. He says Bob Melvin got us to the postseason, and we can't forget that, but we also can't let it slide that he cost us the season when it mattered. Trying to steal runs, not pinch hitting Alfaro. It was costly. I mean, I'm sorry. And the goal wasn't to get to the NLCS.
No,
the goal was to win a World Series. So once you're in the NLCS, it's not just like, hey, what an amazing year. And it is. No. You'll look back on it in days and weeks and months and say it was a very good year in the absence of Fernando Tatis Jr. But you're taking on an 87-win team with home field advantage, and you just squander advantages and opportunities, and you just mismanage away a couple of games, and then you wonder why you're going home. Well, that's a big reason why.
It definitely is a big reason why. Like, I just will never, it's a situation where these moments and opportunities like don't come around every single year. Like, you go into next season, you can't tell me like this team is guaranteed to make the NLCS, because they're not.
Of course
like, this team didn't make it. It took 24 years for this team to make the NLCS again after 1998. Right. So when you're in these moments, you have to treat these moments that they're like the biggest fucking moment on the planet. Not that, we're just hoping to steal outs here. Like, I hate that term. That we're trying to steal outs in the postseason. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right. You should be trying to pitch your best relievers in those spots. You should be trying to use your high leverage guys.
Like, stealing outs in the postseason in the NLCS in game 4 and 5 is fucking lunacy.
I mean, you threw your high leverage relievers a combined like 3 innings in the series.
You had a lead in game 4 late in the middle of the game there, and you had a lead late in game 5.
Yeah, it was never going to be easy. And again, if Hader allows a home run to Harper there, tip your cap. If Suarez does as well, I mean, Suarez had an amazing year, but it's like, this is literally why. Hader's this 7-year potential future Hall of Fame closer. Robert Suarez is a rookie in the big leagues. An amazing year.
Yeah, you can't do that to Robert Suarez, man. You can't do that to Robert Suarez.
You're asking a lot of him.
Yeah, man.
And I want
That's
to say
just
Suarez
stupid.
got Harper to ground into a double play 3 days ago in San Diego. He did.
And it
but-
wasn't like an easy double play. It was like Machado had to make an amazing turn for that to be a double play.
Yeah, but I mean, he got the contact I think he wanted, right? 619 Camp says, heartbroken, but what a season. Who would have thought we would make it this far with all the adversity and Nando drama? Saturday was the backbreaker in our game to win, but why Clevenger Manai? I love this team and this show. I mean, I was amazed that they got up off the mat after Saturday to be in this game. You fall behind 2-0 and Zach Wheeler, and you get back in this game. Juan Soto, Josh Bell, the wild pitches from whatever the hell his name is, Sir Anthony Dominguez. You take a 3-2 lead. I mean, you were on the mat. To get back up
Incredible,
and then
yeah.
take a lead is really incredible. And then to blow it in that manner is just makes it even worse.
Yeah, and look, like we said, like if you blow it with Hader on the mound, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say? That sucks. Got beat.
Got beat. And Suarez did a great job to get it to where it was because
He did.
Melvin left Darvish in for another batter too late. Suarez came in, got out of the jam, preserved the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Suarez's job is done as soon as he, the next inning goes. I'm having Hader up and ready because Harper's up the next inning no matter what. And the fact that Hader was not up and ready to go for Harper, that to me is the more like egregious part, is that you didn't even have your guy ready to go. Like,
yeah, you should get Real Muto. You could get Real Muto there, but if he reaches, like that's it.
Done.
And now, if you get Real Muto, you could make the argument, okay, Harper's the tying run. Although I think at that point, well, you have a 5-out save, and you've already asked Hader to do a 4-out save this postseason. He's well rested. That's probably when you turn to him.
Guess what? You get through the 8th inning, you get through the heart of their lineup, and you get to the 9th, the bottom of the 9th, with a 1-run lead. And even if Hader maxed out in the 8th to get 3 outs, but you still preserve a lead in the 8th, you're still facing the 7, 8, 9 hitters of the Phillies.
Right.
It's like it doesn't make sense to me that Bob Melvin doesn't understand the simple fact that the save always doesn't come in the fucking 9th inning.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, you'd be facing 7, 8, 9, but of course, if one man reached, then Schwarber would be up, and you'd have your non-high leverage guy in that circumstance. And the odds of 1 of 3 reaching in an inning are, somewhat decent.
Cool.
In that spot.
Like I understand that, but just the sheer fact that you let Harper beat you versus
without your best.
That's the part that you're like, are you fucking kidding me? That's the part that you're
crazy.
just like, you can't stop thinking about, and it's unforgivable that happened, and
I agree with you.
And look, Saturday night, you needed 15 outs. Okay.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. But in that moment, like, it's still 15 outs. It's a lot, but okay. This moment, you need 6, and Harper's up, and Josh Hader has pitched 1 inning in the series, and you don't use him for that moment. Man, that's on you, bro. That's a bad fucking manager's job right there.
Yeah, and that's why I say that it's like, that's why I will say forever that the Padres could have very well been in this series or won this series if it was properly managed. We'll never know. We'll have no idea. We'll never, ever, ever know if the Padres could have won this series, if they went to Hader in the 8th inning, if they went to higher leverage relievers yesterday in the 5th inning. We'll never know. Gus, thank you. He says, said when they hired him, Bomel equals Marty Schottenheimer. Gus is saying he said that when they hired him.
Okay.
I mean, listen, his strengths obviously are as a player's manager. He avoided a collapse with this team like they had a year ago. Right. What happened in Arizona and the way they finished the regular season and got into the postseason should not be ignored. That has value. There's no question about it. But there were a lot of mistakes in there. Over the course of the regular season, every manager is going to make mistakes, and there were a lot of mistakes in the postseason as well. He got away with them against the Dodgers. He got away with sticking with Yu Darvish too long in the Dodgers series. But Robert Suarez saved him in that moment. There were a number of moments against the Mets and the Dodgers and in this series. Just a number of them.
Yeah, like it
sucks because, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it just sucks.
It sucks because, like, you like Bob Melvin a lot as a manager, and he's a great manager for navigating you through a regular season and getting you to a postseason. But man, this postseason was extremely alarming for the shit that you saw.
Yeah.
And
It
how
really was.
he was not one step ahead. He was always one step behind. And that is a problem. Okay. The fact that you aren't reacting at least one step ahead, that you're trying to you're trying to steal outs, and you're trying to get through another inning, and you're trying to get through the order one more time. Like, no, I don't want to hear that shit. Okay. In the postseason, you treat every game in like it's this one little entity. All right. And you have to do everything you possibly can to win that game. If you start thinking about games XYZ, you've already lost, because then you're not treating the game that you're already in like it means everything. And that's what Bob Melvin did this postseason. And that bit him in the ass. He treated game 4 like he was saving that he needed his relievers for games 6 and 7, instead of treating it like, fuck, we got a 6-4 lead in the 5th inning. We have Suarez, Hader, Garcia all ready to go. Tim Hill. That's the matchups. Boom, let's go. You know what? Instead, we need to get another inning or two out of Sean Manaea so we can save these guys for the game 6 and 7. No. And then game 5, well, Josh Hader, I'm only giving him 4 outs. We have to wait till at least he gets 2 outs in the 8th inning before we deploy him. Like, no. The save's in the 8th inning versus Harper, not the fucking 9th inning versus 7, 8, 9. That's your problem. And that you're right, John. And the more I talk about it, the shit that happened there, like, say what you want, but fuck, man. If you're telling me if you're giving me reasons why they lost this series, and you're telling me that they had leads in the fucking 4th game, and they had leads in game 5 in the 8th inning with Hader and Suarez and Garcia ready to go, and they didn't use any of them, well, they used only Suarez, then I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's why I hate I hate the like, well, the Phillies are the better team, but the Padres also made managerial, mismanage these games. I mean, well, yeah, the mismanagement is a big reason why the Phillies won the series 4-1. I mean, the two, like, you can't say one without the other. Spencer, thank you. Says, really fun season. Thank you for covering it all season long. Was my most fun season ever. Also, that felt like a destiny AB for Bryce, promised since 2016. Listen, it was a fun year, and we'll discuss all the highs and the lows. And I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, there was so much that went into this season, obviously, from day one where Robert Suarez allows a home run that cost you a game in Arizona, to the final day when Robert Suarez allows that home run to Bryce Harper. In between, Robert Suarez was like the most effective reliever in baseball. The Bryce Harper thing it was his moment. It was his time. You kind of hope it was Manny Machado's moment and time. That was not meant to be. You hoped it was Bob Melvin's moment and time. That was not meant to be. We'll see what happens. I mean, the Phillies feel a little bit like a team of destiny. I wouldn't count them out against Houston. I'm sure they'll be an underdog, but shit. I mean, Philadelphia's playing good baseball, and that Harper moment was ridiculous. And his moment, by the way, the night before, when he said, "This is my effing house," and he had that double that gave the Phillies a lead whenever it was 7-6 against Manaea. I mean, he had some huge moments in this series, a lot of them.
Yeah, he did. It sucks when the team loses, right? But it's even worse when the team loses and there's like a bunch of what ifs attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Padres lost today 7-1 and they lost Saturday like 8-2.
It just sucks. You just got
outplayed. You got beat.
Yep.
But when you have these things happen to you and you have a lead in game number 4 in the 5th inning, and then your choice is to keep Sean Manaea out there, and then you have a lead in the 8th inning of game 5, and your choice is to not use the guy you traded for against their MVP. Like that's the shit that hurt. That's the stuff that makes you the most frustrated. Not that I mean, obviously you're frustrated they lost.
Sure. I agree with you.
But when you go into it, when you come out of a series with just more what ifs than anything, that's when you really, as a fan, are like, are you kidding me right now?
I remember we said yesterday, I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said it, because I thought getting off the mat from where they were would be almost impossible. I thought that some of the decision-making in game 4 would haunt the franchise. And if I knew what would happen in game 5, and it would be even more egregious than game 4, some would say. I mean, it's not me and Jim saying this. I mean, we said it in the moment, but look around the internet. I mean, every national publication in the country is writing about the Padres,
Dennis Lynn, AJ Cassavell. You think they cover this team every day, like us, you don't like you look at their timeline. Everybody's questioning this. Like now they don't give out like straight opinions. They just give out, like stories. At the same time, everybody was questioning what the fuck is Bob Melvin doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I thought Game 4 would haunt the Padres. I think Game 5 will as well. And to pretend like it's not a factor heading into 2023, I don't think is accurate. By the way, I actually do think it's a factor. Now there's going to be a lot of changes. You'll have Fernando Tatis Jr. 20 games into the year or something like that. But I mean, this is something that you got to get over. If you're Manny Machado heading into your 5th year with the Padres, this is as good of a chance as you've had to win a World Series in a long time since you were traded to the Dodgers, and this is how it ends. That's tough. That is really tough to stomach. Carlos, thank you for your viewership and for your super. Thank you guys for the supers. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We know it's a tough night, obviously, for Padres fans. Carlos says, I can live with the fact that we lost to the Phillies if we had our best versus their best. If we lost with a Harper versus Hader, so be it. Sometimes you lose, but this loss leaves us with a lot of what ifs. Exactly what I said the second the game ended. What if offseason? We'll never know. If they would have pulled the strings that people had asked them to pull, we'll never know. If they would have won Game 4 or Game 5, we'll never know what it would have been like going back to San Diego up 3-2 or down 3-2. 3-2. Never, ever, ever. Snell into his offseason. Musgrove into his offseason. Never got a chance to pitch in Game 6 and 7.
Yeah, and never got to come home putting pressure on the Phillies in Game 6 and 7.
That's right.
And yeah, man, the more you talk about it, the more you're just thinking to yourself, why the fuck was Sean Manaea in there on Saturday night? And why in God's name did you not bring in Hader to face Harper?
I mean, this is
both of those games, man, and you fucked it up.
Like this will in Philadelphia, like you said, this is forever iconic and famous in Philadelphia forever. This is an infamous game in San Diego baseball history. You can't take back-to-back losses in the postseason worse than the losses you just took. Padres postseason history is what? 35 games, 45 games, whatever it is, right? It's not a lot of games. To put together those games in succession with so much on the line, the only way to make it worse is if this is the World Series, obviously. It's not. It's the National League Championship Series. But, this will be talked about for a long, long time. I mean, Padres fans, Phillies fans, baseball fans, if the Yankees lost a game like this today and the day before, if the Red Sox lost a game like this today and the day before, the Dodgers, I mean, you'd be talking about this for forever.
And here's the problem, John, is like people, I feel like in this town, don't understand what criticism is for what happens in the moment, right? If what happens in the moment is
a little bit of a blanket statement, but maybe some.
I'll say some. I won't say everybody in this town. You're right. Some, right? And a lot of fans too. I say a lot of fans as well. Don't understand when things happen in the moment. It's okay to discuss it, one, and to criticize it too. Does that mean that we're saying that Bob Melvin's a shitty manager, or Bob Melvin sucks and should be fired, or Manny Machado sucks, or this guy sucks, or this guy? No. Okay.
I'm not calling for Bob Melvin's head. I just think it was poorly managed.
But if you don't, in this moment, for any one of these players and any one of these coaches, especially Bob Melvin, right? Well, mostly just Bob Melvin, right? If you're not questioning the moves or the lack of production or whatever the case may be, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, we're here to tell you Bob Melvin fucked up, all right? We're here to tell you Manny Machado didn't come through in a whatever moment. We're here to tell you.
Moment. He had a huge moment today, first and second one out, right after taking the 3-2 lead.
Yep, popped up.
And he had a nice postseason. He did. He had a nice postseason.
Very nice postseason.
Was there opportunities to do more? Yes.
Yeah.
Was it a Bryce Harper postseason? Unfortunately, it wasn't.
No. Like, we're here to tell you that. Does this mean that like, oh, you guys have no credibility? Like, fuck you. You don't know. You, like, shut up. Okay?
I think we have more credibility than most that aren't willing to say it. I mean, that's the difference between being truthful and being, having to appease. Like, we have no one to appease.
It's a lot of people. Like, you have to remember, Bob Melvin got this team here. Yeah, he did. That's great. But just because that happened and he led the team to the NLCS doesn't mean
So
that
he
we can
can't be
criticize him
criticized.
for not making the moves he did in the postseason. That's a joke.
Here's the thing: we're not idiot. Nobody here. I'm not saying. Of course, they're not going to change their manager. Bob Melvin will be the manager in 2023, and I'm not arguing that he shouldn't be. What I would argue is this: that he's got to be better in crucial moments, because if you fast forward now 2023 and let's say you are in, and let's say you have a great year, nobody wants to be in this exact same spot again where your manager is putting you behind the eight ball. Your manager should be putting you in a position where you have a best chance to win, and it doesn't feel like that happened over the course of these 11 or 12 games in the playoffs, and I think we both feel that way. Vector, thank you. He says, dislike talk of at least we got here.
Yeah.
No World Series berth is guaranteed next year. This series was a summary of our season. Poor offense and Bomel having no aggression to step on the Phillies next. It did feel like that. It felt like they were playing, a Wednesday game in June or a Tuesday night in May, and it was just like a part of the season, not the most important part of the season. I'll give Rob Thompson credit for two things he did. He went for it in, was it game 3? When he went for the 3-out save, essentially with two relievers, Alvarado and Dominguez. He did the same thing today. By the way, it didn't work, and he still won the game.
Yep.
He only got an inning out of Dominguez and Alvarado, and he went to Robertson, who wasn't good. Then he went to his starter because he said, seize the moment. Why are you playing for a 7-game series when you can win it in 5? And that's what the Phillies just did.
Yeah, like it is concerning that a rookie manager essentially ran laps around Bob Melvin in this series. Like, that's not something that gives me, that's
it's
not
concerning
good.
Come next October.
That's very concerning next October.
And I think they'll be in.
I do too, with the expanded postseason.
Yeah.
Is the fact that your urgency as a manager was not there in the last 2 games, especially. And really at times in the postseason, like, you got saved by Suarez in game 2 versus the Dodgers, and Suarez saved you for a moment in game 5 today. But like I just keep saying, you knew Bryce Harper was coming up in the 8th inning, and you don't have Josh Hader ready to go. Say that out loud. You did not have Josh Hader ready to go for Bryce Harper.
He was like he wasn't even throwing on the mound. He was like long tossing for the first batter, so he wasn't even throwing on the mound.
Like,
when Real Muto was in the box.
And this is going to suck for Bob Melvin. It is, because this is going to haunt him for a long time unless he wins a World Series in the next couple seasons with the Padres. And it should. And if it doesn't, then that would concern me. If this doesn't create some type of I need to change moment from Bob Melvin. And I hope it does, because, man, these opportunities that you get, you can't let them go by without throwing your best out there and making every possible move that you can to ensure that you win that game that you are in, instead of thinking we need to try and steal some outs and we need to get length out of this guy because we have to worry about games 6 and 7. Like, that's fucking bullshit.
I agree with you.
And that's what Bob Melvin did this series, man.
Yeah, and the part that really hurts, and we'll get to all the supers, and thank you guys for hanging out. Again, we have year-round Padres content. We will talk about what they need to do in the offseason. We will talk about the winter meetings. We will talk about everything that's to come in the days and weeks ahead, I promise you. And we'll talk about the memorable moments. We'll talk about who should stay and who should go, all of it over the next 5 months. Right now, we're talking about what happened tonight and how frustrating this is. So subscribe, smash the like button. Thank you for the supers. Great way to support this channel. Some of you have been with us literally since day one. Maybe it's your first time here. Thank you for your support of this channel. The part that makes it just so unbelievable is that it's over.
Right.
It's like, and
like that.
And you're thinking, it always sucks when something is over and there's a piece of you in your head that says, I wish I would have done it a different way. Now, this is sports. This is sports. It ends for a lot of teams. Like you said, if you lose 10-1, you lose 10-1. But this is a part of sports, not
only one
decision.
team wins the World Series every year.
Yeah, and you can make the right decision and lose, okay? We all know that.
Right. He could have put Josh Hader in tonight against Bryce Harper, and he still hits a 2-run homer. He could have
take that 3-2 lead after trailing Zach Wheeler, who you had not scored a run against in 2 years and 27, 28 innings, and you come all the way back, and you think you're going to bring this thing back to San Diego, and you've got a 3-2 lead, and you've got your high leverage guys available, and you just don't use them as effectively as you should have, arguably, and your season ends, and that's a really bitter, sour taste that I think is going to take a long time to get over for a lot of Padres fans and for the organization and for some of these players. And hopefully they can get over it. It's a long offseason. There's time. But it just sucks. It just sucks. It sucks now, and it's going to suck in 2 weeks, and it's going to suck in 2 months, and it's going to suck when spring training starts.
Yeah. And you know, like, I'm just thinking about today, and I'm thinking of all the things that you could have done with, you know, like I'm trying to like think how they were thinking. And even me trying to do that, it just, I don't understand it. Like, you had 6 outs to go. All right. The second Suarez lets a guy on,
he's got to be gone. Then
you have to be gone.
You got to try. You got to try then to just.
And I'm not worried about the fucking 9th inning. I'm worried about what's happening in the 8th inning.
Right.
Because in the 8th inning, you could lose the game, and guess what? You lost it because you didn't have Josh Hader facing Bryce Harper. And if Bryce Harper hits a fucking bomb off of Josh Hader, then guess what? That's fine. You live with it. And I would respect Bob Melvin for going to Josh Hader there in an conventional way. Like, that's what you have to do in the postseason sometimes. It's not just always about by the book, right? It has to be about what is going to give me the best opportunity to win right now. And the best opportunity to win for the Padres today was throwing Josh Hader in the 8th inning versus Bryce Harper. That's the save, dude. And if you lose it in 9th versus 7th, 8th, 9th hitters,
right,
with Garcia on the mound or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, and why would you? I mean, okay, let's say Hader in that inning, you know, let's say he throws 24 pitches to get those 3 outs. Okay,
yeah,
it's possible.
Okay. That's
a good amount of pitches. I mean, I still think he's starting the 9th at 24 pitches. Now, if that number goes from 24 to 48, I get it. I mean, if it goes from 24 to 40, okay, you'll have someone up.
What if he cruises too? Like, you have to think about.
That's the thing. We don't know. He could have thrown 6 pitches. You're right.
You have to think about all the scenarios, and it just seemed like in these last 2 games, those things were not thought about. And look, there's other reasons why. The offense,
you're right.
You know, there's scoring position. Like, you have multiple reasons. Like, the bottom of the order was fucking atrocious in this series. They had 1 hit combined, 1 hit, and that was the hit and run in game number 2 by Austin Nola. All right, Trent Grisham.
We'll get into that too. We'll get into that.
You know, Will Myers went completely MIA in the postseason. He had no impact whatsoever. You know, Josh Bell had a really good series, actually, by the way.
He did.
Manny was really good in the postseason, but in big time moments, he didn't get there. It was a lot of he didn't deliver in like a 2-on, 1-out in the 7th inning. You know, he had a good postseason, no doubt about it. But again, you saw what happened with Bryce Harper, and
if Machado would have had that moment in that 7th inning. I mean, if he hits a 3-run home run, you go up to 6-2,
or it's a 2-run double, or a single.
I mean, everything's different.
Even to go 4-2, just a single to go 4-2, it's different. So, you know, we talk about it a lot. The others help you win a championship, but the stars are the ones that are going to be in the big moments. And Bryce Harper was that moment for the Phillies tonight, and you didn't see that from the Padres.
What I also hate, and we need to get to Mark Nimitz, our title sponsor, and we're going to get to all the supers. What I also hate is, like, Soto was heating up. Okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get another game and a game after that. Like, Soto was in a position where he was kind of quasi maybe going to carry you, right? I mean, he hit some long homers the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had a 440-foot home run today. Okay. Yeah. So he was beginning to get locked in, and his season, like everyone for the Padres right now, is over.